Hi, everybody. It's here. We're finally here. It's the Cosi Talks 101 live event series. And as you can see, I have a very, very, very special guest in the house who is no stranger to the Cosi Talks studio. Welcome, Reggie.
Everybody.
Guys, we're going to give you guys a couple minutes to jump on board. I know this is a different time of day for me to be going live. We got Rhonda, we've got Diana showing up, we've got Jeffrey. Jeffrey, I hope you're feeling better this week, man. I know you've had a rough time this past week. We got Bonnie, Matthew Brewer, Tom. Tom's on board. Yes, we've got our United Kingdom showing up. Maggie, thank you for just coming on board. I love it. Tom says just trying to stand on one leg like a water bird. Right. We've got Steven on board. Oh, wonderful, guys. Wonderful. So happy to have you guys on board. So we're going to kind of, guys, if you don't mind, let us know if you can hear us. We always like to test out our microphones, make sure everything's okay. Maybe I should stop talking so you can hear his microphone.
Microphone checker.
My
check
microphone.
1, 2. You know I used to be a DJ.
Okay. Oh, you got to do
Yeah,
something.
back in the beginnings of hip hop and all that, Sugar Hill Gang. You know, I was a DJ back then.
All right, we got Kevin on board, Sandra, Ashley. All right, yay, there's Laura. All right, Laura. We got a lot of people jumping on board this evening. Audio is good. Excellent. All right, guys, we're going to give you another 30 seconds. First time attending the series, Denise, welcome. Thank you.
Denise,
I hope you guys,
how are you?
Guys, I am so excited. These next 3 days are talks that I have never done before. So I'm not going to lie, I've got some butterflies right now. But this content of the show, because so many of you ask me questions on balance, core, how to walk, and just to really be able to dedicate a show to each one of these things is just something like, you know, my nerd flag is really waving high right now with this. Rhonda's drinking coffee in her Cosi Talks mug. Where are my cool kids at? Because all the cool kids are drinking out of the Cosi Talks mug. We're going to be giving some of these away. And we're also...
I didn't get a Cosi Talks mug.
He's got a Cosi Talks mug.
Yeah, I do actually. It's at home.
He's got one.
This is what they provide us here at the Cosi Talks studio. You know, it's not even pure spring water. It's regurgitated, whatever. I'm just joking. I'm just clowning.
I would kick him out, but I kind of need him for today. So
no, but she does have these really cool Cosi Talks glasses.
I've got glasses, so we're going to be giving away some of these things. We've got the Rebuilt shirt. We've got Prosthetic Center of Excellence swag. We've got a lot of nice giveaways today, guys. All right, guys, we're going to officially get started. Hey, Lonnie. Mark. There's Mark. Dude, man, you're late. You're late. All right. For those of you who are joining me for the very first time, welcome. My name is Cosi Belloso. I'm a physical therapist, amputee specialist here in Tampa, Florida. And with me today, I have the one, the only, Reggie Showers.
Hey, thank you, Cosi. Thank you for inviting me here. You know, it's been a while since I was here last, and we broke the internet. We broke Facebook last time we were here.
Facebook,
How many views did we have?
45,000 views, guys. And here's those of you who've been watching the posts leading up to my prep this week. I'm in my garage right now, not gonna lie, and that's where we shot that last show. You were my very first guest on the Cosi Talk show, and we got 45,000 views.
That was pretty cool. I'm so proud of you.
No, man.
Thank you for what you do for our
Made
community.
you look good.
Thank you. That was easy to do.
So guys, welcome. These next 3 days, we're going to be giving you lectures, educational topics. We're also going to be doing special guest interviews. So later on today, you're going to hear Reggie's story, which it's not the first time I've heard it. And every time I hear it, I gain something from it. It's an amazing story. And then we're going to be doing exercises at the very end that are going to teach you how to improve your balance, because that is the talk for today. It is all about balance. Angela, welcome on board. We've got Carol on board, Joe Green, bilateral BK from 4th degree burns here.
Hey, I'm a burn survivor myself there, Joe.
There you go.
Good seeing you, fam.
Guys, love seeing you here. And guys, I love to interact with you all. So please throw those comments in there. If at any point during this talk, you feel a light bulb moment where you go, oh, I get it now, I want to hear about it in the comment section. Okay. So let's get started. Okay. So today it's all about balance. And if there's a question I always get at least once every show is, how can I improve my balance? Why is it that I keep losing my balance? What's going on? So I'm going to break it down for you, Cosi Talks 101 style. Okay. So we'll start at the beginning. The goal of your balance basically is to give you stability, right? To give you stability while you function and move around in your daily life, right? So you don't basically hit the floor every time. Okay. And your body controls balance through the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. So basic anatomy, right? Central nervous system, brain and spinal cord. Peripheral nervous system, all the nerves that control your limbs and your trunk. Okay. So one thing you're going to hear me talking a lot about today is how the body learns and processes balance. And it's basically repetition is the mother of memory. Okay. So all the experiences that you've had from the moment you were born, learning how to sit up, learning how to crawl, learning how to pull to standing, all of those memories your brain has retained as it learned balance up through the time of your amputation or your limb loss. Okay. And your brain retains all these memories. So we're going to teach you how to kind of pull on those memories to help improve your balance now. Hey, Fritz. Oh, Fritz, man. I haven't seen you in a while. Thanks for joining in. We've got Jean from California. Charles, you made it. Yes. Charles, like, enough talk. Let's balance. We like to talk a lot. Okay, so guys, let's talk about how the brain processes balance. Okay. And those of you who've been watching my show, you know the word proprioception. That is a word, yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
You talk about proprioception a lot, which is very important.
A lot. And guys, if you haven't had the chance to hear my proprioception talk, you can go to my YouTube channel. And yes, this is a totally shameless plug. But there's my live event series from last summer, and it's the proprioception talk. We're going to be bringing that full circle today. Okay. So there's 3 systems that your body uses to process balance. Your visual system, your vestibular system, and your somatosensory system. That's like my New York crossword puzzle word for the day today. Say that fast 3 times, okay? So let's break that down just a little bit, guys. Your visual system, obviously your eyes, right? Your brain processing what it sees, right? Then you have vestibular system. That's your inner ear. We call it your sea legs. It's also what gets affected when we have a good time at happy hour, right? It tells us whether our body is upright or not, specifically when it's not upright. Then we have somatosensory system. And I kind of want to...
That's what I want.
Yeah, this is the one we're going to talk about. So we have our 5 senses, and let me see if I can remember them all. We have sight, we have taste, we have touch, we have smell, and we have our hearing sense, right? These 5 senses help us sense the world around us, right? That's our sensory system. Our somatosensory helps our body know its position in the world. Make sense, guys? Okay. So it kind of tells us, where is our foot before it hits the ground? Is there something pushing up on us? Okay. It helps us sense where our body is in the world, in the environment, okay, versus sensing the environment. Does that make sense? Okay. And it'll make a little more sense as we keep talking a little bit more here. And this, guys, your somatosensory system, okay, this is where proprioception comes into play. Your ability to know where your body is in space. So my favorite example is you shut your eyes and you can do a thumbs up, right? You don't have to look to know that your thumbs are facing up. That is your somatosensory system at work. That is your ability to know where your body is in space, all right? So quick review, because I like to repeat things a lot. This is how I learn, I know, and this is how I help people learn. 3 systems, and I want my smarty pants in there. Smarty pants in the comments section. What are the 3 systems that process balance? Visual, vestibular, and somatosensory. Let me read some of these comments that are coming in. Mark says, about how much alcohol? Mark, for me, it only takes a couple sips. I'm a cheap date. Let me just tell you, I'll be right up honest with you with that one. Let's see, we've got Go Cool on board. Welcome, Go Cool, below the knee amputee. Linda, I'm so glad you made it. Yes. And Harsh. Oh, Harsh is on board. We can get started now. All right, we got John Gilding. John says, Reggie, it was a pleasure to meet you a couple of years ago. What a testimony you share. And you're going to hear that once again today,
Thank you,
John.
Thank you.
Once again. And we've got Carol. No cockroaches today, Carol. That's going to be on the gate. That's on day 3. So stick around for the cockroaches. And those of you who are wondering what in the world I'm talking about, you're going to have to come back on day 3 for that one. We've got Joan. Aloha, Joan. All right, guys. So we talked about the 3 different systems that our brain uses to get information from the environment, right, to process balance. So let's talk about how all of that works and comes together, okay? So, for example, those of you who know me know I have 4 kids. Reggie's met my crazy 4 kids, right?
They're good kids.
They're good kids. I think I'll keep them. We'll
Yes,
keep them.
You better.
Yeah. So, guys, for example, if one of my kids, when they were very small and they didn't know any better, tried to go out into traffic, right? What's going to be my reaction? Right? So what's happening in this moment? In this moment, My visual system is telling me that the floor is coming up on me. My vestibular system is telling me that my balance and my center of gravity has pitched forward. My somatosensory system is telling me that my feet are no longer planted underneath me. So my brain takes this information, throws it to the back of my brain, the cerebellum. That's where all that balance is processed. And it goes, uh-oh, we got to send out some orders. And then the brain sends out the orders. It sends out orders to my ankle, my muscles around my ankle, to adjust movement. It sends orders to my trunk, my core, which we're going to talk about tomorrow, and to my hip muscles to stabilize me. And it sends a message out to my arm to say, grab that little bugger, right, before he gets out into traffic, okay? And depending on how much of a reaction, my brain will tell me how intense I need to be in my reaction. Is it just a quick little grab, or is it a launch fully forward and grab that kid back, okay? And all of this happening at fraction of a second, lightning speed, okay? So guys, as you can see, there is a lot going on when your brain is processing the world around you, okay? And you need all three systems, visual, vestibular, and somatosensory, to be working together as a team to make sure that you have good balance, right? All right, I'm gonna stop talking for a second. Boy, people love that cockroach technique. We're really gonna have to do that more. Robin, oh, you made it on board. Robin, thank you for coming on board. I know you got a busy day with work today. And we got Brett Sykes, better late than never, man. Hey, you're on Cuban Standard Time. Late to the party, but that's okay. We love having you here. Love having you here. All right, guys.
And if I could real quick, you know, what I think is really, really important to point out is a lot of us, some of us are medicated. You know, we have certain medications that we take for pain management, or, you know, whatever other health ailments that we have that may impact our
vestibular system. Exactly. And all of that. Yep,
so
absolutely.
that weighs in on our ability to maintain proper balance and all. So it can be very challenging, you know, with a lot of the medications and stuff that we take, or maybe even some of the stuff that we eat, our diet. I don't know. Absolutely. What do I know?
No. You're on there. You're on there. So guys, let's go ahead and talk about what happens then when there's an injury. You know, and for me, I like to compare a lot folks with stroke and folks who have limb loss. There's certain similarities there, and I have a lot of experience working also with folks with stroke. So when you see someone who's had a stroke, there's injury to the brain. And let's say, for example, it's injury to the visual system, visual processing system in the brain. Well, then that means vision is out of the equation, and the body only has the vestibular and the somatosensory system to rely upon for balance. And that's going to be a shock to the system, right? And then you take it a step further. Folks who have global, like a very severe traumatic brain injury, where it's global brain damage, all three systems are affected. The visual is affected, vestibular is affected, somatosensory is affected. And you see these people who are simply not able to even sit upright and keep their heads upright, okay? That's the neurological side of a loss of balance, okay? But with amputation, it's a little different. There's no neurological injury. There's no damage to the brain, thank goodness, when the limb is lost in surgery. But what happens is the brain is registering something changed. Something is different. I call it a mechanical loss of balance. And that's not any official, that's like a Cosiism thing, okay? So it's more of a mechanical loss of balance versus a neurological loss of balance, okay? So with that, okay, you know how I talked about in the strokes, a lot of times the vision is affected, right? So with amputees, which one of those three systems, guys, do you think is most affected with limb loss? Between visual, vestibular, and somatosensory, which one's going to be the one most affected? Want to take a guess?
Don't make me look
stupid. Don't make it. Somatosensory.
That's what I thought.
Somatosensory. See, you gotta say it. It's the first and no, man. Somatosensory. And this is where the proprioception comes into play. We're bringing it full circle back to that proprioception talk, guys. So here's a great stopping point. We're going to do a quick Cosi poll. Kay, I'm so glad you're here. David, I'm so glad you're here. Close, actually, not vestibular, somatosensory. Somatosensory. So guys, quick Cosi poll. How many of you are getting around on your prosthesis? You're walking around. But the minute you look off to the side, you either stumble, lose your balance, or you feel unsteady to do that. How many? I want to see that comment section lighting up. Show of hands.
I can feel that.
Yeah.
I can see that happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I call it the pretty girl test, and I know it's politically incorrect, but that's the best way to describe it. When you see a pretty girl walking down the street and you go like this, and you lose your balance, okay? Or you walk into
She's so hot.
You see from personal experience. So Diane says me, Joan says me, Ashley says me, Linda says me, Joe is raising his hand, right? Okay. So guys, this is what happens when your visual takes over. Okay. So when you lose one of those balances, one of those systems, when you lose either the visual system, vestibular, or somatosensory, the other two systems have to pick up the slack. So in amputation, you lose somatosensory, your vision starts to take over. And it can be a problem because it becomes overly dependent on vision. And you stop utilizing your vestibular system. You stop utilizing what's left of your somatosensory system. Okay? So what happens? Let's talk about, wait, we got some comments coming in. Sorry. Trying to keep up with these comments, guys. You guys are awesome. Yep, Debbie says stumble, stumble, stumble. Maggie says, especially when looking upwards. I get that a lot. Yep. Kay says sometimes. David says walking now, that is a challenge and a work in progress. Cortland says yes. Let's see. Charles says, nope, I've conditioned my somatosensory system. But Charles, you've been an amputee for several decades, and we're going to talk about how you can improve upon that. Carol says it doesn't happen to me. Well, that's very good. So guys, let's talk a little bit about what happens with this, okay? When the visual system takes over, many of my patients will come in and I call it the soldier gait pattern. Shoulders are up by the ears, arms are straight down by the sides. There's very little movement here, and it's all the person can do to just look forward to prevent themselves from falling, okay? Now, for the sake of today, I'm exaggerating a little bit. Obviously, not everybody comes in looking like this, but many of my patients will come in with some sort of variation like this. There is stiffness in their gait. There is a hesitation there, okay? They'll tell me things like, I can walk with a walker or a cane, but the minute I let those things go, I'm all over the place. Or I can go up and down the parallel bars just fine, but the minute I go outside those parallel bars, did you experience any of that when you were first learning?
I can hardly remember that far back, but yeah.
So guys, it's because folks are going to tighten up and lose the balance, okay? So let's take it back just a few minutes. Yes, Rasheen, this is live right now. For Rasheen, you're finally able to catch me live over from the UK. Yes, we got it at a good time for you, okay? So guys, when your brain undergoes this kind of transformation, whether it's from a stroke or whether your brain starts to realize there's no leg there, your brain will start to compensate, okay? And for many of you, especially in those early days after amputation, you had to learn to use a walker or crutches to get along, and getting along on what was probably just one anatomical leg while you were waiting to be fit for your prosthesis. So during this time, guys, you know, your brain is processing all of this new information. It's processing that your center of gravity is pitched forward just a little bit more. It's processing that your arms are locked into a position, and it starts to learn those new movement patterns, okay? And that's where the problem comes in later on when you try to let these things go. All right, so I know it's a lot of overwhelming like doom and gloom here, but I'm going to show you how this can be corrected and how this can be improved upon. Joe says, would muscle atrophy and loss add to that as well? Absolutely. Absolutely, because think about it. We're going to touch upon this a little bit later on. If your hip muscles are weak, which that's a big one with amputees, right? I always say it's all about the butt, right? Getting the butt muscles nice and strong. If they're weak, and you're trying to regain your balance, but you've got a weak foundation, right? Or many of my patients who have tightness in their hip, right? And they're trying to get their balance, but they don't have the movement to be able to navigate this. And we're going to talk about that later on. Balance is just a small piece of the pie, and you have to be able to address everything in order to get everything going, okay? So let's talk a little bit about how it's measured, okay? When you come to see a physical therapist, this is what they're testing. They're testing your balance to see which one of those three systems is most affected. And we're going to do that later on today with Reggie with the Romberg test. It's a very common test. It's been around for 150 years, but it's a great test, and it lets me know how dependent is my patient on their vision? Are they overly, and yeah, you had a good time with that one today. We learned a couple of things there. Is the person overly dependent on their vision? Do we need to start retraining the vestibular system? Do we need to start retraining that somatosensory system and teaching it how to work together again? Okay. So again, that's the next question. Can balance be improved upon? And the answer is a resounding yes. Absolutely. It can. Yes, it can. So in the same way that your brain learned to compensate with a walker and with crutches and with any other injuries you've had in your life, your brain can relearn proper movement strategies, proper skills again. Mm-hmm. And guys, I've said this, I've been in physical therapists now for 18 years, but I've been working in healthcare since I was 14 years old. And I've seen some very, very traumatic brain injuries where people who were in bed, they couldn't even lift their own head. And then after intense therapy, intense balance training, specialized training to really get these systems working together, months later, you would see that same patient walking up and down their yard with a cane. So it just
thank you for what you did.
But it fascinates me to see the brain's ability to heal itself and also the brain's ability to learn new things again. Mm-hmm. Okay. So guys, so Fritz says visual reliance is so very common, not saying it's a bad thing. It's just how many people have interacted with their environment. And yes, Fritz, you're absolutely right. It's not a bad thing. It's one of those three systems. It's how your brain knows where it is. It's when the visual system takes over. That's when we see problems with balance. That's where we see lack of confidence with people walking. It's one of the things that we need to address to get all three systems. Say it with me, guys. Visual, vestibular, and somatosensory all working together. Okay, we're going to show you some of that later on today. Okay, so guys, another thing that you hear me saying a lot on the show is find the root cause of the problem, right? If you're not sure what the root cause of the problem is, you can throw all sorts of fancy treatments on it and see if it'll stick to the wall, but it's not going to work. And the same thing goes for balance. Your therapist needs to be able to tell which system is not working properly, which system is overtaking things, and is there anything else contributing to it? Is there weakness? Is there decreased range of motion? Are there sensory issues, actual sensory issues, especially in my diabetics? Okay, so obviously I can't assess everybody who's watching right now, and everybody's balance deficit is going to be unique to them. And as Reggie and I were practicing before the show, there's a couple of little things here and there that he was learning about balance that we were going to talk about a little bit later today. But let me just give you the quick 4 things that I see in many of my patients that come into my clinic. Number 1, that an amputee's, the visual system is the system that takes over. It's working overtime. It's the pretty girl test. And that's the easiest way to tell. Someone's coming at you and you're looking the other way, boom, lose your balance, okay? So because people are using their visual pattern, okay, they start to develop these compensation patterns. Stiffer gait. They're not swinging their arms as much. They're not rotating their trunk. And we're going to see a little bit more example of that on day 3, okay? Third thing, and this is a really important one, big impairment that I see is people's inability or lack of comfort walking on different surfaces, right? Walking on grass, being able to walk on sand, walking on the sidewalk. Just even here today, when we were practicing these exercises, y'all can't see it just yet, but there's a very thin rug here. And it was easier to do the balance exercises on the hard garage floor, right?
Compared to walk on the carpet. Exactly right.
And he did it. Like we were practicing the exercises and Reggie says, wait a second, give me a second. And he goes to the hard surface on the garage floor and he's able to do it right away, right? So just the change in the surfaces. And that can be a big problem. That's right. That can be a big problem. I have a friend of mine who said that when she went back to work and walking in the hallways in her workplace, she would walk the tile floor and the minute it would turn to wooden floor, boom, she would lose her balance.
That's interesting.
Right? So that's another thing that this balance and the reliance upon visual system can create some problems down the line, right? All right, guys. I have been talking a lot, and Debbie says, I get nervous when it rains. Hey, Teresa, glad you're here. Yes, so Roisin says this is challenging the different surfaces. So guys, we're going to do our first giveaway. Ready?
Let's do this.
All right.
It's always cool to give away some swag.
Yes. And guys,
Everybody
everybody loves swag. I love free stuff. So guys, I have to take this time to say a special thank you to my sponsors. College Park Industries,
Oh,
right?
no,
No, that way, right? They flew Reggie in today to be here in the studio today and tomorrow. Also, the Prosthetic Center of Excellence, this amazing clinic in Las Vegas, Nevada. They're going to be flying in one of their top prosthetists, and he's coming in on day 3. Guys, with everything with COVID going on, everybody's been hit. Big business, small mom and pop businesses like my own was no exception. So when I say I could not have done this live event without their support, it's not just a figure of speech. It takes a village. It takes a village. And I cannot express enough gratitude for my sponsors for allowing me to bring this event to you guys today. So thank you.
Like your sponsors.
Yes.
Everybody out there, like your sponsors.
Show them some love. And I'm going to go ahead and plug, guys, those of you, how many of you, let's see, show of hands. How many of you have been filling out the virtual stamp card? I'm going to tell you what that is for those of you who are going, what is she talking about? Guys, if you sign up for my email subscription at www.cositalks.com, you're going to receive a virtual stamp card. And you fill it out, and you're going to get an entry into the raffle. And guys, if you look back on my post, the raffle winners are going to win big. There's about $200 worth of stuff in each one of those raffle bags.
That's a good haul.
Yeah. So those of you, Rhonda, you're in there. Yep. A lot of people have already entered in. Good, guys. Mark, shame on you, Mark. You should be entering. Go fill out your virtual stamp card, guys. Good, Stephen. All right, guys. So in the meantime, the first giveaway we have today is courtesy of College Park.
Yay.
We have one of their coveted
rebuilt shirts.
Like the shirt is awesome.
Everybody wants a rebuilt shirt.
And I'm going to steal one of these. I like this hat. It's a really nice hat embroidered on the front and the back. And nice water bottle ready for summer. So guys, this is what you have to do to win this giveaway right now. You need to go to one of either the College Park Facebook page, and my girl Kristen is going to post that in the comment section, or go to their Instagram account. And I want you to post in there, #IamRebuilt. There's a post today, and it probably has Reggie on it. I'm going to go on and say it's got you on the post, right? Go to either the College Park Facebook account or Instagram account. Follow them and post in there, #IamRebuilt. All right? And then my girl Laura is going to tell me who our winner is. She's going to pick a winner. So we're going to keep going, and she's going to hopefully text me the right winner. All right, guys. So before we wrap up this talk, okay, I just want to remind you guys, balance is just a small piece of the puzzle, right? If your strength is off, if your range of motion is off, it doesn't matter how many balance activities you do, you're still going to be off in your balance. Okay, so again, this is where I really champion my profession in terms of finding a physical therapist and really getting into that rehab and doing the rehab afterwards to address the balance, to address the strength training, to address range of motion and all that kind of good stuff that physical therapists do. Okay. Thanks, Maggie. Maggie already has a College Park shirt. Maggie, we've got other goodies coming up, so stay tuned. Denise says, not comfortable at all on uneven surfaces, grass, sand, and good on all flat surfaces. And Denise, after Reggie tells his amazing story, we're going to be giving you guys some exercises to do. And what I love about the exercises that I picked, they're meant for below the knee, above the knee, unilateral, bilateral, beginner, intermediate, and advanced. And I'm going to show you how. So any of you who are watching right now, you're going to be able to find something in these exercises that you can start doing in your home right now. All right,
if I can say something real quick, I remember back in the late 80s, I used to race motorcycles professionally. If anybody doesn't know my story, and I will share my story with your audience, but I had entered into a race. It was an upcoming race coming up on the weekend, motorcycle drag race. And I was probably a favorite to win my class because I was pretty badass back then. I'm very humble, but I was pretty damn good. And I had put something in my ear to clean out some earwax, and I didn't get it all out. And it was a fluid or a gel or whatever. I didn't get it all out, and it solidified. So it started to slowly block my hearing in one side of my ears, which then transferred to my sinuses and I couldn't hear out of this one side of my ear, but the left side of my ear is overcompensated, but it totally threw off my balance. All of my balance was just totally out of whack. I was walking weird. I had to actually pull out of the race. I couldn't compete. because I was scared I was going to crash the motorcycle because I could not keep my balance up. So everything that you're saying is just so spot on. Once I went to the doctor, they found out what it was. They pulled it out. Everything was super loud in my right ear all of a sudden, and I got my balance back. But it's just so amazing how this all works in conjunction with each other. And, if one is off, something else overcompensates. So, it's just really interesting.
And it's interesting, like as a younger therapist, you just, until you go to school and you learn about 3 different systems, you just think of balance as a global thing. You don't really realize just how many systems are processing balance. And then again, when I was interning and watching these, like for me, neuro specialized PTs, they are amazing. They're just amazing at how they can assess a person and figure out the neurological deficit. And then with the specialized exercise, and all of a sudden you see the clouds clearing for this. It just fascinates me. But tell them what you told me about your time in aviation school and how you got blocked, because that's another great
story. So I got my pilot's license back in 1991, and when I was going through my training in my IFR, instant flight rules training, your instructor will have you put on what's called a hood, and it's basically this hat that restricts your view outside of the aircraft. You can't see the horizon, and all you can focus on is the instruments that are in front of you. So the instructor will have you put the hood on, and then the instructor will have you close your eyes, and the instructor will then put the aircraft into an adverse condition. It could be a climbing right turn or a descending left turn, and then the instructor tells you to open your eyes and recover. Well, you have to trust the instruments and what you see and not what you feel, because the instructor, with my experience and with a lot of basically everybody, if the plane is in a left turn and it's diving, you actually don't feel it if you can't see it.
Isn't that crazy?
So it's called spatial disorientation. And the guy, your instructor's telling you, yo, you're actually turning. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm flying straight. He's like, no, put your gauges and trust your gauges. So it's one of the things that gets pilots who are not trained on instrument flight rules, gets them in trouble, that they just don't have that experience to trust their gauges or what to look for. We call it a T-scan. But anyway, it's a real thing.
Wow. Our first winner for today. Congratulations to Joe Green. Joe, I think you were just listening right there.
Good job,
congratulations, Joe. After the show is over, please send me a message with your address, and we will be sure to send you out all of your College Park swag. So once again, thank you, College Park, for sponsoring this particular giveaway today. All right, guys, we're going to go to a 1-minute commercial break. When we come back, Reggie's going to tell a story. You don't want to miss this, guys. You don't want to miss this, but we're going to see you in 1 minute. Hey guys, we are back. Am I back? We are back. Yes, okay. We're back. All right, guys. Let's see. We had a question that came in. So I believe it was Rasheen who asked, can anyone recover atrophied muscles ever? The answer to that is yes, and sometimes no. So let me just talk about that. If there's, obviously we all know with our anatomy that there's nerves that connect to our muscles. So if there is damage to the nerve and the muscle is essentially paralyzed, then usually those muscles, depending on if the nerve regenerates, may or may not get the muscle strength back, okay? If the muscles have been atrophied because of disuse, meaning you just haven't used them, or because of amputation, it's been connected in a different way, so it hasn't been utilized as properly, then yes, you can recuperate muscle fibers and muscle strength. And we talked about that one. Thank you for feeding me that question, because it's a great little plug for last year's talk on muscle anatomy and strengthening, where I talk about how the muscle works, how the strengthening works, and how to recruit those fibers, how it works when a muscle's coming back from injury. Okay, so yes, in the case, especially with amputees, I get that question a lot with my below the knee amputees, asking if their calf muscles will ever regain strength. Okay, and my answer to that is they will never be the same as they were prior to limb loss, just because obviously they've been cut and they're attached in a different way than what they were meant to be attached. But you can activate them. You can start getting some of those muscle fibers to start recruiting. Okay?
I'm activating my calf muscles right now, and it's one of the things that I've always wondered about. I've watched my calf muscles actually atrophy, and my socket size has gone down over the years. It's gotten smaller. But now that people are getting into, they're opting for osseointegration and stuff, I was always interested if I were to choose osseointegration and do away with the traditional socket, and I started to rehabilitate, learn how to walk using an osseointegration and implant, would I start to regenerate some of the calf muscles or other muscles that I don't use now by using a traditional socket system? So that was a great question.
Absolutely. Susan says, I'm a lower limb amputee, but my thigh muscle seems to be atrophied. And this is a big problem, both for my below the knee and my above the knee patients. It's actually the glute muscles that get really atrophied. And ironically enough, those are the muscles that you really need to be nice and strong so that they can power your gait and also keep your hips nice and stable. A very common recurring theme that you'll hear a lot in my talks. Yeah, Roisin, it's exactly that. If you don't use it, you lose it. Exactly that, exactly that. So guys, I'm gonna like zip it, and I'm gonna let Reggie tell.
This is your show, though.
No, I know, and I'm Cuban, so I like to talk, but I gotta zip it. So I'm gonna let you go.
All right, so Cosi, number one, just once again, thank you for all that you do for our community, because you give us so much inspiration. You give us so much education and encouragement and guidance. And when I first became an amputee, there was no amputee coalition back then, and I'll touch on that in a minute. But I just really wanted to say how important this resource is to our community, because you give people hope. You give people who may be in a location where they don't have a traditional support system, you give them an opportunity to just log online virtually and be amongst their peers, and then be amongst a professional like yourself who is so super dedicated to providing us with the information that we need to live a better life and to fix our problems. And then there's the friendships that are made in the chat room. So, yo. Yeah, absolutely. So I became an amputee exactly 43 years ago yesterday, or today. Today is my ampuversary. Believe it, I kid you not. My amputation happened on Memorial Day, 1978. So it was yesterday. So today I was a brand new amputee 43 years ago. Reggie. Yep, this is my ampuversary. How about that? So my story, I was a young kid growing up in the inner city of West Philadelphia, born and raised. And I was just a super adventurous kid. Loved playing outside, climbing on top of houses and trees. And, us kids, back in those days, we didn't have the internet. We didn't have Xbox or PlayStation and all the conveniences and technology that a lot of kids have today, we had outside, and all that outside offered. And some of outside was very, very dangerous. Some of the playgrounds that we hung out at, you know, I look back at some of the playgrounds that we played on, and the swings and all, they were all rusty and dirty, and they had, you know, jagged edge bolts sticking out, and you know, you get cut, and I mean, but you spit on it and you keep improving. You know, that's just the way it was. You know, nowadays everything's super safe. But this one particular day, my parents were having a cookout, Memorial Day 1978. Food wasn't ready, and I did my regular thing by going off to one of my playgrounds with my friends, which was a train yard that we used to hang out at. We rode our dirt bikes. We had dirt bikes back then, and we would ride in amongst the train tracks. And there was lots of parked train boxcars there. We would climb on top of them. We would open them up to see what was inside of them. The trains would come by. We'd wave at the conductors. The conductors waved back to us. So this was a very exciting, inviting playground for us, although dangerous. But we as kids did not realize the danger that existed. And this one day, I just decided that I was going to climb to the top of one of these boxcars. And when I did, I stood up, and there was an electrical power wire that stretched over top of the boxcar. A lot of trains use electricity for energy, and I got too close to that electrical power wire, and it was 13,000 volts of electricity radiating through that wire. Now, I didn't even touch it. I didn't reach up and touch the wire, but I just got super close to it. And the electricity arced onto me, and it hit me. And, you know, electricity is looking for a ground. And we saw birds sit on those wires all day long. But see, birds fly to the wire. They're not grounded. They fly to the wire, they'll sit on it, and then they'll fly away. Once you touch ground and get close to it, then you complete the circuit. And that's what I did. The electricity hit me. It knocked me right out. Thank God, because that amount of electricity, I mean, they only use like 2,500 volts or so to kill a person in the electric chair. Yeah. I got hit with 13,000 volts. I mean, God is good. If you don't believe in God, I don't know what else to tell you after this story. My friends, they saw what happened. They got fire and rescue to get me down off the boxcars. You know, they had to wait to shut the power off. They airlifted me to a major trauma center, diagnosed my injuries. I had third-degree burns over 35% of my body, mainly to my arms. So I think it was John who said he was a burn survivor. So yeah, I lost one of my bicep muscles in my left arm. Almost lost this left arm. Almost had this arm amputated because I think this was the entry point where the electricity hit me. So I was very, very fortunate not to lose my left arm. But the most traumatic injury was to both of my feet. The electricity, as it exited my body, right at the ground point, my feet standing on top of that metal boxcar, just so much energy, so much heat from the electricity, just burned all the muscles, tendons, flesh. You know, my legs were really, really badly burned, and they had to amputate both of my legs below the knees. So I wear, it's one, it's my left leg, and that's two.
There's two.
It's both my prosthesis that I wear. But I have to say, like I said before I start talking about my story, that back in the 70s, in the late 70s, prosthetic leg technology was archaic compared to what it is today. The struggle was real. Okay. We were basically walking with prosthesis that had feet. It was wood.
It was wood.
They were wooden.
Carved wooden sockets.
Exactly. Satch feet, were wooden foam and rubber or whatever they were made out of. There was no energy returning properties to the feet that were available at that time. The suspension systems were basically, I remember my first suspension system and how you keep your leg attached to your body was basically a garter belt. I had to wear around my waist. Now, I'm a 14-year-old kid. What do I want to wear a garter belt for? And it had straps that ran down the front of my thighs, and they would then cinch to straps that were riveted into the sockets of my prosthesis. That's how my legs stayed on. And they didn't stay on very well. They were very uncomfortable. The ankles, like I said, did not articulate whatsoever. I spent a tremendous amount of energy just trying to walk because there was no energy return. It was very uncomfortable. It was just a dark period. But I was super fortunate that I had parents that just believed in me. My parents knew nothing about being an amputee. There was no support system for me, no amputee coalition, like I said. There was no Americans with Disabilities Act back then. So there were no recessed curves. There was no accessibility or accessible buildings. I had to walk up steps everywhere I went. So it was a really, really hard, lonely, confusing time back then. But I'm so glad that I went through all that because it welled up enough passion in me that I became the advocate that I am right now for the amputee community. I do not want to see anybody have to go through what I went through. So now I'm able to, since I've been so involved in the community, I'm able to connect people like yourself with resources that allows you to provide the information that you have as a specialist to give to our community. So that's, when you look back in reverse, I think the saying is, we live our lives forward, but we learn them in reverse. So when you look back, why did this happen to me? Why, God, why? Why did you choose me for this to happen to you? While you're going through it, but then as you get through it and learn, and you find that your life has purpose and your life has meaning, and everybody has a gift. Everybody has a beautiful gift that has been bestowed upon you, and you have to give that gift back to the universe. So, and when you do, and you're able to change the quality of somebody's life, then you say, now it makes sense to me. Now I have purpose. I found my purpose. And that's what happened to me over the years. It took a long time. I'm going to tell you, it took a long time. But I found my purpose, and that was to be an advocate for my amputee community, or for my disabled community in general. But I rehabbed. It was really hard rehabbing, not only the physical rehabilitation, but the psychological and emotional rehabilitation was really, really hard. Being the only amputee in my school, the only amputee in my neighborhood, the only amputee just about everywhere I went in my family, you just kind of feel like the odd person out. And I'm sure as a lot of people, a lot of your viewers feel that same way, but they have the benefit of coming to Cosi Talks, just sitting back, even if you don't want to comment, just sitting back and being a part of the crowd. Sometimes just being there, being present, just makes you feel, seeing your peers, seeing other amputees, just makes you feel like, you know what, I'm okay. I'm going to be okay. So that's why I'm doing what I do now. I got into motorcycle racing, and
yeah, you're too humble. You need to, because if you don't start bragging,
I know I need to move it on. Right?
No.
Everybody wants to, talk about, when you went to the moon and all that stuff. So I got into motorcycle racing, and back then, again, people in general, our society was not as inviting. We were not. Things weren't accessible. We weren't as inclusive. That's the word I was looking for, as we are now. So back then in the 70s, 80s, racing a motorcycle as an amputee, what are you, crazy? Able-bodied people get killed doing that. And we're going to let you as I wasn't disabled back then. I was handicapped. That was the terminology. First, I was crippled. That was the terminology. And then we got smart and we moved that to handicapped. And it's disabled, now it's adaptive, and so on and so on. But yeah, I was scared that the sanctioning bodies were not going to let me race motorcycles back then. So I said to myself, you know what they don't know won't hurt them. I wore long pants. I didn't walk with an obvious limp. And I went out and I raced motorcycles. I started racing in the sportsman ranks. Made a lot of mistakes because riding a motorcycle as an amputee is super, super hard. But the fact that it was so hard for me, I had to focus a whole lot more, and all that hard work built up an enormous amount of strength and skill. And this is what I tell people all the time, so you're putting in the work right now, you're building skill, and it's going to pay off on the back end, which it did for me. And I went out and I won championships, set a bunch of records.
World champion.
Yeah, world champion.
2 times.
Yeah.
2 times.
And,
I think I remember.
Pro rookie of the year, all that kind of stuff. I kicked a lot of butt. on a motorcycle. And people had no clue I was an amputee, none whatsoever. And then when I disclosed the fact that after I won, I was like, you know what, I'm the champ. I'm the champ. You know, they can't tell me that I can't race if I tell them that I'm an amputee. And yeah, what can they say? You know, I proved I kicked everybody's butt. And I disclosed the fact that I was an amputee, and the faces, when I saw their jaws just drop to the floor, and then people would bring their children up to my pit area when I was at races, and they said, you know, Reggie, can you tell my child your story, because it's so inspirational? And I saw the effect that had on people. I said, you know what, this is my purpose. I have to be an advocate for the disabled community and use the racing as a platform, as a vehicle to elevate it to a new high. And I went out and got my pilot's license. Didn't tell the FAA that I was an amputee, because I didn't want, oh, you can fly, but you got to have special equipment. No, I'm going to learn how to do this. You know, I'm going to change me. I'm going to adapt. And this is what amputees are so good at. I am nobody special. I am just like each and every one of you out there. And we are the strongest. We are so super strong. We don't know how strong we are until being strong is our only option. And we, as amputees or as people from the disabled community, we have opportunities to show our strength on a daily, or to test our strength on a daily basis. And that builds resiliency and that internal personal power, I like to call it, that we can spread exponentially out into other areas of our life. So that's basically my story in a nutshell. I got hooked up with College Park Industries in 1999. I was walking through a amputee convention and saw College Park. They had their display out. I didn't know who College Park was. I was wearing some Satch feet on my prosthesis. And one of the reps from College Park, his name was Mike Link at the time, he said, hey, man, you know, what kind of feet do you have on? I said, I don't know. I think a lot of us don't know what kind of feet we're wearing, which now is something that I try to promote. I try to tell people you really need to be educated about the components that you're using on your prosthesis and the components that your friends are using, because it may be a better option for you. But I didn't know, just like everybody else. And he said, you know, you want to try a pair of our feet? And I said, sure, whatever. And when I first walked in a pair of College Park True Step feet, the True Step foot was the very first College Park foot that I walked in. And the ankle is the most anatomically correct prosthetic foot on the market back then, and still is to this day. It's an amazing foot. And it mimics the natural ankle movement of a natural anatomical foot, human foot. And the sun got brighter, the air was a little sweeter, you know, everything I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Look how smooth I'm walking. I was no longer walking like a robot or using parts of my body and my core to try to mimic a natural gait, because I was using crappy prosthetic components. But I was just using so much less energy and yada, yada, yada. And therein started the relationship with College Park. And it's been amazing. They allow me to educate them about our community, about where our community needs help, where they can help our community, what our competitors are doing, what they're not doing. I see. That's my job, to be out here, be amongst our people. And, you know, if people are using our stuff and they have problems, I'm a liaison for the end user community to reach back to the manufacturer. And sometimes there's a divide there between manufacturer and end user. So I'm able to be that throughway, you know, that via, if you will.
And guys, he puts his money where his mouth is. There have been several times where many of you have come to me on my show and asked me or sent me an email saying, I'm in the market for a new foot, you know, and I've gained knowledge from working with these companies, but I will never have as much knowledge as someone like Reggie. And he has so graciously, on so many occasions, taken a call from some of you viewers that are saying, I want to educate myself on the different kinds of feet and the different options that are out there. And he has been such a wonderful, wonderful resource to be able to refer folks to, because he knows that he uses it. He's used pretty much every foot out there. So it's a really great resource. And then here, let's get some of the So Denise, the name of the foot that he was referring to is the True Step. And guys, I'm going to plug this particular episode just because I think we really knocked it out of that ballpark. The episode where Reggie and I first broadcasted from my garage, we go through all the different classifications of feet. So Kristen, I think we're going to try to dig that one up. That one was from February 2018, guys. And those of you who are on my Facebook, I know it's been that long.
Can't believe it.
Right. So guys, it's a great show because we talk about the different classifications of feet and how you know which classification of foot will apply to your mobility level. Okay. Mm-hmm. And this is something that with this show, I want to give you guys. I want to put this information in your hands so that you can take it back to your prosthetist. And I give Reggie props for this. You know, when I started my journey with opening up my own clinic 3 years ago to where I am today, there's definitely key people in my life that have gotten me here. This guy's one of them. I started doing this show, didn't know what I was doing, just would go live and answer questions. And unbeknownst to me, Reggie was watching the show and he recognized what I was trying to do and that I needed help to build this and to be able to spread this platform. And that's how this show got started, guys. He was my catalyst. So he puts what he says, he puts it into action. He puts it into action. So
it was easy to recognize your value. Yeah, it was really easy. It was a no-brainer. Yeah. So thank you.
It's my pleasure. So Charles says my last current foot is Meridian by College Park. So Meridian. No, not College Park. Wait a second. I was like, nope, I know Meridian, but it's not College Park, Charles.
Meridian.
But guys, they make amazing feet. And again, show some love. They have a great foot finder program on the website. Mm-hmm. So if you go there, you can kind of put in your classifications and it kind of narrows the field down for you to tell you which foot would be the one that you can try. And this is my favorite part, trial program.
That's right. Try before you buy. Get a 30-day trial. Just have your prosthetist reach out to college-park.com and request one of our trial programs for whatever particular foot that your prosthetist thinks would be a good foot fit for you. Mm-hmm. And we'll build you a foot to your specific specifications, and we'll send it to your prosthetist. Your prosthetist fits you with the foot. And after the alignment initial setup phase, you go take that foot home and you use it, beat it up, do whatever it is you're going to do with it.
Yep.
And if you like it, we'll send you a brand new one. But that's our trial program. And back in the day, we didn't have options like that. It was, you go to your prosthetist says, you know what, I think that this foot would be a good fit for you. And they put you on whatever it is that they thought would be a good fit for you. You didn't have a say. But let me tell you something. You have a voice as an amputee, as an end user, as a consumer. You can tell your prosthetist what it is that you want to wear. But the catch is you need to be educated about what's out there. So the two of you and your prosthetist, can work in conjunction to make the best possible decision for your component choices. So asking questions, reading, going to the different websites like college-park.com, our website, our Facebook page, looking at our YouTube videos and asking questions of your peers. What kind of foot are you wearing? Do you really like it? Well, this is my category. This is my weight. This is my lifestyle. Mm-hmm. And you use all that information to help you make the most proper decision that you can for a prosthetic foot.
And guys, I'm going to throw something else into that before we go to commercial break. But basically, use the resources around you, the resources you have available to you now. I certainly didn't have them 18 years ago, even as a clinician working with my amputee patients. The sales reps of all these different companies, they want to help you, right? It is in their best interest for them to educate you on what they have to offer. And many times when a patient comes to me, I will give my opinion as a therapist in terms of what I see with their mobility, combine that with the professional opinion of the prosthetist to get a well-rounded picture of what your mobility needs are. Mm-hmm. And then hearing from you, telling us what is it that you want to do in your life that you're not able to do, and how can we use therapy, componentry to make this happen. And for me, I always give my local sales reps a call and say, hey, I'm still not really up to par on this particular foot that you're offering. Can you come talk to my patient about this, guys? We have these resources. And here we go. We got Leslie sitting on board, guys. I'm going to give a shout out to Leslie. She is one of the co-owners of the Prosthetic Center of Excellence. They are also co-sponsoring this show, and they will be on the show on day 3
Mhm.
with Alex DeHinton, their prosthetist. And Leslie is an expert when it comes to insurance reimbursement. And she states the device must be medically necessary to be covered by your insurance. Work with your prosthetist, physician, and physical therapist on this. Yes, guys, if there's anything
your
here,
village, work with everybody.
The team approach, the team approach. Yes, Teresa, insurance coverage can be a very big issue with determining what foot you can get. But again, this is where learning about what your mobility needs are and what is the appropriate foot classification, right? Are you somebody who needs a multi-axial foot? Are you somebody who needs a hydraulic foot? What does that even mean, right? That's what the show that we just posted the link for, describing the classification of the foot, and then finding out, okay, what's this company's answer to hydraulic? What's this company's answer to dynamic? And trying those out and pulling it in. Because if you're using the appropriate foot, then you can justify it as medically necessary to your insurance. And I'm gonna leave you with this one last thing, guys. What works for the person sitting next to you may not necessarily work for you. So get their opinion so that you can start learning these things, but understand the foot that works for you is the one that's going to give you the most independence in your life. And that might be different from the person sitting next to you.
That's right.
Okay, guys? So we're going to go to a quick commercial break. We are going to be doing exercises for balance. And Reggie is going to be my victim. He's going to be my victim. Oh boy, this is my favorite part. All right, guys, we're going to set up the studio real quick. So stay with us. If you have a chance, tag somebody to get them to join in while we're waiting. Wait, I have a giveaway. Duh, Cosi. Like my tech team back there, which by the way, because she's like, you have the giveaway, guys. Okay, yeah, man, this one's my giveaway. All right, guys. You got to go to my Instagram account. Super easy. Cosi Talks, right? All one word. You need to tag a friend on today's post. Okay? And then we're going to pick out a winner. The winner is going to get their choice of either, I got the glasses, guys. I finally got some beer glasses or iced coffee glasses. You get the choice of a glass or a mug.
You do a really good size margarita in that one.
Yeah. And then, guys, a socket sock with my logo on it. If you have not visited Joan's Socket Socks website, go. She makes these beautiful covers for the prosthesis, for the below the knee and above the knee. Beautiful prints, beautifully made. So the winner of today is going to get either a Cosi Talks mug or glass and a socket sock with my logo on it. That's really cool. That's really, really cool. I really love it. So Joan, thank you again for helping support with this. All right, guys, go to my Instagram account, tag a friend on today's post, and we will see you guys. Joan's like, margarita glass. Everybody, right, Leslie? The socket socks are amazing, guys. We just posted the link there. So show Joan some love. Go visit her Socket Socks website. We're going to be back in 2 minutes. Don't go anywhere. All right, guys, we are back. And as you can see, we're showing all the secrets here in my glorious garage, but I just want to make sure that you guys are going to be able to see Reggie's feet. Reggie, what feet are you using today?
I'm using soles. College Park soles.
Those are kind of one of my top 5 favorites, guys. I don't say that very often what my personal favorites are, but soles is definitely one of the top 5. All right, guys, we're back. Maggie says, I love my pink paisley socket sock. It's really nice. It's really nice. So guys, today we were talking about balance, right? How the brain processes balance through the visual system, the vestibular system, and the somatosensory system. And I told you about a test that physical therapists will use to test out balance. It's called the Romberg Test. It's actually been around when I was kind of doing a little bit of background search for today's talk. It's been in clinics for over 150 years, guys. So for 150 years, we as humans have figured out all these different systems that play into balance, okay? So this is a test that you can do at home. Got to take a couple of safety precautions. So for those of you that you know your balance is bad, if you know you have bad balance, you need to do this test sitting down, okay? And the way you're gonna do it is sitting down. You're gonna make sure your weight is evenly distributed between both hips. If you're not wearing your prosthesis, that's fine. Just make sure your hip is distributed evenly between both hips. And then you're going to do everything else the same way Reggie's going to do it. So if you're able to stand doing this exercise, okay, you're going to stand with your feet as close together as possible. Now, Reggie is awesome. He can actually stand with both of his feet together. We're not going to angle the camera just yet. So, but if you're finding that you cannot stand with your feet together, that's already a first part of the test. You can put your feet shoulder width apart. Okay, safety, guys, safety, right? So his feet are close together. Next, I'm going to have him cross his arms over his chest. Now, if you're doing this test and sitting, you are also going to be doing this one.
I forgot about that.
I was like, come on now, don't leave me hanging on. Yeah, right. Okay. So, all right, back to the test. Serious, right? All right, we're going to cross the arms over the chest, okay? Sometimes with my patients, I already start to see a positive result. Positive result meaning they're already starting to do some swaying, okay? So to really kick it up a notch, because Reggie is very good, he's going to close his eyes. And I don't know if you can see that in the camera, but he's closing his eyes right now. And Reggie is good. When we did this test prior, he was admitting that he was having to compensate. So can you comment on what it feels like right now?
So right now, I'm putting a little bit of weight onto my left leg, my right leg, left leg, left leg, left leg,
yeah.
left leg, right leg, right leg, left leg. Yeah. Right. So I'm compensating with my eyes closed.
And you can open your eyes and relax. You're good. So guys, Reggie is an example of an amazing, a great test on the Romberg test. Usually with me, with my patients, what I'll often see is they'll start to wiggle a little bit here, and then when they close their eyes, they immediately start swaying back and forth. Sometimes they don't even realize that they are swaying back and forth, okay? Sometimes they do, and it can be very disorienting, kind of like that aviation example that you gave, where your instructor covered your eyes and didn't let you see the horizon, okay? This is a huge indicator that your visual system is what's driving the bus with your balance, okay? And again, we want our visual system contributing. We just don't want our visual system ruling the whole kingdom when it comes to balance, okay? So I like this test, guys. It's simple. It's easy for me to administer in the clinic, and it's something that I also use as a measuring stick. So for example, someone who comes into my clinic, they're swaying all over the place those first 5 seconds. I do heavy duty balance training, and a month later, I do the test again. And it could be that they could hold this with their eyes closed for 10 seconds before they start swaying. So it shows me that I'm on the right track with the balance training that we're doing. Okay, so for some of my clinicians out there, it's an old bread and butter, old school balance test, but guys, still works. All right, we're gonna go ahead and angle the camera, guys, so we might cut off our heads, but I want you to see Reggie's feet. These particular balance exercises, guys, and I mentioned this before, this is something that I do with my beginner patients, my intermediate, and my advanced. For those of you who are beginners, that your balance is very unsure, you need to do this in front of a counter, a kitchen counter. When I worked home health, I love kitchen counters and islands because it's a great way to do it with 2-hand support in front of you, okay? So for those of you who are beginners, this is where you begin. And Reggie, I'm gonna have you come over here just a little bit. Are we still in the frame? Yes, we are. Okay. So this first one, guys, it's very simple. It's a side step. So what Reggie's going to do is he's going to do exactly that. He's going to step out with his right and then step together with his left. Step out to the right, step together with his left. While he's doing this, he's actually looking down. In the beginning, I have my patients look down at their feet because the brain needs to relearn. Okay? He's looking to see that his toes stay nice and even, that he's taken even steps with each foot. And then I have him do the opposite direction. This is a big one, guys. Your brain needs to relearn how to do things going both ways, towards your sound leg and towards your prosthetic leg if you're a unilateral amputee. As you improve, okay, the next step is to do it looking up. That's where you start to bring into of your vestibular and more of your somatosensory systems, okay? But the first step for my beginners, look down. Teach your brain again where those feet are. You're also cueing in these hip muscles. You're also teaching how to transfer weight. For those of you, especially my unilateral amputees, learning how to put just as much weight into your prosthesis as you are into your sound limb. Now, for those of you who need a little bit more of a challenge, okay, after you're able to do this looking up, we're going to put some weight into this. Now, I know Reggie can probably handle 50-pound barbells, but all I've got are my Minnie Mouse 5-pounders here, okay? We're going to start to engage the core, okay? So what Reggie is doing is exactly that. He's tucked in his tummy. He's activated his core, which we're going to get into a lot more tomorrow about that, okay? And he's having to actually do quite a bit of tightening here to keep everything steady. And again, making sure the feet are nice and even, okay? So this is the next progression to this exercise. And then if you're really looking for a challenge, hold the barbells out here. Keep the tummy tight and then do it. Reggie, I think you're breaking a sweat there, no? Not yet? No? I'm teasing him, guys. All right, guys, so that's the first part. Next part, I know the beeping in my garage, those who have been watching my show know that beep very well. Okay, this part is called the front crossovers. And guys, if you look on my YouTube channel, I actually did an entire video on this particular exercise and how to progress this. So you guys can go back to my YouTube video and reference this again. Let's see, how do you get to the point where you don't need to hold on to the countertop? So Patricia, that is a good question. A lot of that will also depend upon if you're still working on your strengthening. So for my patients, and I work in home health, when I work in the clinic, I have them start letting go when I feel that they have the strength and the balance. So this is something that when you progress yourself with this exercise, okay, you can just try and see. Hold on with one hand, let go of one hand, and see how you do. It could be that you're stronger going one way, but when you're coming back across the kitchen counter, you might be a little bit weaker there. And again, this is where working with your therapist to help progress you with these exercises is so important, guys. And let me just give you a little nod here. The person does not have to be an amputee specialist. All of these balance exercises I'm doing, this is part of our bread and butter arsenal as PTs. Any graduating PT is going to know how to do these exercises and how to progress. Okay, so let's do this next part. It's called the front crossovers. So I'm going to stay here while Reggie demonstrates. I'm not allowed to fall that way.
I'm not allowed.
No fall. That's too much paperwork.
Okay.
All right. So he's going to cross over his foot and then step out to the side back to starting position. Cross over his foot to the front and then step back out. And now that he's at the end of the screen, he's going to come back. Okay. This is a really challenging skill to do. And he mentioned even with his sockets, you were mentioning that kind of pinches.
My thighs actually are a little tight. So,
yeah.
If you have big thighs, you may experience some rubbage there, some friction.
Yeah. And guys, this is a really great one because this really forces you to switch weight to both feet, okay? And he's having to really change that weight, utilize those feet and allow whatever movement those feet allow him to use, right? The next part of this, let's do the modified one. Usually most of my patients are not able to cross over completely the way Reggie is doing because this is a challenging thing to do. So the way I have folks modify it is I'll have them put their foot in the front.
Okay, that's even more challenging.
You're too fancy, Reggie. There you go.
That's even more challenging.
There you go. So he's going to put his foot in the front. There you go.
Okay.
And out to the side.
All right.
Right? To the front and out to the side. And to the front and out to the side. Good. To the front and out to the side. And guys, as you can see, you know, Reggie's a very, very high level. He's an athlete level, and there's still certain movements that can bring about challenge. For me, I cannot walk in a straight line to save my life, okay? So guys, this is something that you can all work on, right?
So if I was stopped in a DUI, you know, checkpoint, and be like, yeah, you got to put your foot. I'm like, dude, I'm going to fail that.
You're going to fail that. I can do the crisscross.
I can do the crisscross.
How about we do a crisscross? Let's compromise on that one. And guys, for those of you who are high level, again, a great way to progress this particular exercise, put the weights into it. We start engaging core, okay? And again, once again, when we're first doing this exercise, you're looking down at your feet. You're looking down at the foot placement. As you get better, that's when you don't fall down in Cosi's studio, right? That's when you start lifting your gaze up.
He's also on carpet.
Yeah, the carpet is really challenging because there's little nuances that I'm experiencing.
And guys,
the hard floor would be a whole lot easier.
And here's another thing that's probably throwing Reggie off, and he doesn't even realize it: the pattern on the carpeting, guys. The pattern.
Ah.
And this is something that I learned from one of my friends who's an above the knee amputee, the one who said that she fell when she would go from tile to wood floor in her workplace. The patterns on the carpet, because your visual system is trying to process all this. And it's trying to process to see if there's a difference in the depth perception. So there's a lot of stuff going on. When Reggie did this, he's doing really well, guys. He's doing really well.
I've gotten better.
When he did this on the garage floor, he was definitely zipping by a little bit faster with this, okay? So we're gonna do one more, guys, one more, and this is just kind of another progression of these exercises. And it's the back crossovers, which Reggie demonstrated were actually easier for him. So he's going to take his left leg, cross it behind, and back to starting position. Left leg, cross behind, back to starting position. And then the reverse. This is where usually I say the brain gets scrambled a little bit when you're used to going in one direction and then you got to reverse again. Building those neural pathways in your brain. Okay? Good? We're good? We're good? And again, if this is a difficulty for you to cross all the way behind, you can modify this. Let's see if you can demonstrate. By just putting the leg a little bit behind you. So let me see if I can, just like that, just like that. A lot of my patients will need to start in this way just to kind of get a feel for it. And that's a great way to start progressing this particular exercise, right? It is a harder machine. You're not kidding. It's a lot difficult than it looks. All right, I think we're gonna go ahead and angle up the camera just a little bit. I'm tired, how about you?
I'm good, let's do this.
Let me catch some of these comments, guys. You'll have to forgive me. It's a little tough reading the comments, but Beth says, I do the crossover exercise in therapy pool and hope to graduate to doing it out of the water. Let's see. Charles says, as a single leg BK, should I change which foot I put in front stepping sideways? You do it both ways, Charles. So let me see if I can back it up here a little bit. You can see my feet. So you go one way. So in this case, I'm bringing my left foot over, right foot out. Left foot over, right foot out. And then you do the opposite. Right foot over, left out. Right over, left out. A lot of times when I do these exercises on my patients, I want both legs taking turns leading because I want that brain to accept that that prosthesis is your leg. And even for those of you who are bilateral amputees, you're going to have one leg that's a little bit stronger than the other. Do you have a particular right?
I think my right leg's stronger than my left, so I do have a favorite.
Okay, so in his case, he favors the right side. So we got to make sure that he's using his left side just as much so that the right side doesn't get worn out. Okay, let's see. I know we're trying to get I want to make sure I get all these comments. And guys, if I don't get all your comments and questions today, please feel free to send me questions through my email. Those of you who send me questions every week, you know I answer it within a day or two. Let's see. Yes, Kate, that is exactly why escalators were such a challenge for you to do. It's a change in the surface. It's a change in the texture. I mean, think about it. The escalator has those little ridges things on them, and they're going up and down, so your brain's trying to figure out depth perception and what's going on, right? So guys, YouTube channel, it'll have this exercise demonstrated, and I usually, with another progression to it, start at the beginning. Even though for you, those of you who have never done this exercise before, even if you're an experienced ambulator, start at the beginning with just the simple sidestepping. You'll discover a lot about yourself, about what you have and what you don't have available to go back and forth with just a simple sidestepping motion, okay? And guys, I think we're ready. Sorry, Reggie, I'm like crisscrossing here in front of you. We are ready. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
The electric slide comes in after this one. Okay. So guys, we're ready for our third giveaway for today. This is from the Prosthetic Center of Excellence. And guys, again, I got to give them a shout out. They are a wonderful clinic out in Las Vegas, Nevada. And they are a true testimony as to what a prosthetic clinic should be in terms of how much their owners are invested in serving their patients, their prosthetists who go above and beyond, and really making sure their patients' quality of life is met through the right prosthetic devices. So guys, I can't wait for you to meet Alex on day 3. Reggie knows Alex,
I know
right?
Alex.
Yep. So they are sponsoring this giveaway today. So their giveaway is going to be, they have water bottle, actually a really cute looking face mask, and a $20 Amazon gift card. So you guys ready? All right. Let's do this first giveaway for them. Go to their Facebook page, which my right-hand gal is going to post up there in just a moment, and scroll down. I want you to tell me which NFL team did the staff at Prosthetic Center of Excellence support during NFL draft day. So you got to scroll down their Facebook feed, and we're going to type that in. The link should be up. All right, so you can see that there, the Facebook link. Type in the comments section. Which team, which NFL team did they support during their draft? Are you looking at this thing?
I just wanted to go to their page and like them.
He wants to get the water. All right, guys, so while we're waiting for you guys to post those answers in the comments section, I just want to reiterate a little bit about today, what we covered today, all right? Balance. It's measured through your vision, your vestibular, and your somatosensory system, your brain, this amazing organ that's capable of relearning all of these skills, right? You have to teach it the correct movement strategies. You have to do the correct strengthening of the muscles to make sure that your muscles can react appropriately when you have a loss of balance. And as you saw here with Reggie, there's ways to start as a beginner and progress it up through high-end athletes. So guys, we're going to be posting all of these links. There we go. We got some answers coming in. Jean's got the right answer. Lonnie's got the right answer. All right, guys. For those of you who have not yet signed up for my email subscription, please do so. CosiTalks.com. Just photobombed a selfie. All right, guys. So go to CosiTalks.com. Sign up for the email. We're going to be giving you copies of the links up to you. You don't have to go searching for it. But you can also find it on my YouTube and Facebook channel. So guys, tomorrow, yes, Raiders, Megan, Raiders. All right, our winner for today is Lonnie. All right, Lonnie, congratulations, man. Send me your address and we'll be sure to get these goodies out to you. Guys, tomorrow, same time, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Reggie is getting dragged back into the hot seat, right? We're going to be talking about your core. It's not just about the sexy six-pack. All right, guys, is going to be talking about the whole human core, telling you what it's really all about, how it works together, how you can start working with it. He's going to be demonstrating some exercises for that. And guys, tomorrow in our special guest interview, Reggie is going to be talking to us about the effects, the psychological effects of going through the journey of limb loss, specifically during this time of COVID where our world has been turned upside down. And this is a talk you don't want to miss. All right, guys. Thank you for letting me be a part of your lives today. Thank you to Reggie.
Thank you, Cosi.
Thank
you, Cosi Nation.
Thank you for
being a part of this.
Thank you to College Park Prosthetic Center of Excellence. And y'all can't see her, but my girl Kristen is behind the computer. She is working the magic and making all of this happen. So thank you to her for flying in to help me with today. I'll see you guys tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be there at B Square. Bye, guys.